we should probably do it tonight.
We're not expecting to pass that contract tonight.
No.
Oh, okay. I was like, that has to go through personnel.
No, but it'll be discussed.
We can discuss and I can finalize the language, but I don't know when we would approve it. Would we have to have a special meeting?
Are we streaming?
We're not streaming, we're
Of
just
the
recording.
22nd.
In May, is it requiring?
Yes.
All right.
We don't have.
Well, I guess we do have a,
Okay.
so is that, yeah, that's fine.
I will call the meeting to order at. Oh, it's recording now.
Yeah, it is recording.
Yep. I will call the meeting to order at 6 p.m. All who want to say the pledge may do so.
Which stands.
One
nation, under God, justice for all.
Okay. The first order of business is approving the minutes on March 21st, 2024. I have too much paper here in my folder. All right.
It's the big staple packet.
Yeah, all of them
All
are
right.
a big table.
All right. Okay, March 21st, 2024, our monthly business meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor? All right. Minutes from the March 21st business meeting. Pass that. 6:01. Now we have the approval of minutes from the special meeting of March 27th, 2024. And the only, I know that the only absentee at that meeting was Vanessa and Tony. Do I have a motion to approve this meeting for the special meeting of March 27th, 2024? So Marcia? Barbara. All right, all in favor of approving the minutes for the special meeting, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Great, passes at 6:02. Moving right along. And then the next is approval of the minutes from the special meeting on April 10th, 2024. And I was absent from that meeting, so I will abstain from the vote. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting of April 10th, 2024? Barbara?
Oh, sorry, I just wanted to mention that there's just a slight mistake on the last page where it says motion carried anonymously at 8:27. It's supposed to be 8:27, not 37. There's a typo. Because then we also adjourn at 8:27. I caught that after I sent it out and then I just.
It's supposed to be 8:20.
8:27 right here.
Oh,
Adjourned.
okay.
It's like right here.
Did we have a second?
I'll second.
And with that,
Can I just make a friendly motion to add the last names of the trustees on there?
absolutely. Only by Christine.
In case there's two Alicias.
Or Corey's or Norena.
All right, with that time change and the change to adding last names, is all in favor of approval of the minutes for the special meeting? Did you say aye?
Aye.
Abstain. Because I wasn't. All right, passes at 6:04. Is there any public input? All right.
Good evening.
My name is Stephanie Threet. I'm a resident of the Mill Hill development, which is right behind Atria on 155. I'm a longtime member of the Tuesday knitting group and crocheting group, and that's why I'm here. We have been requesting to be able to have our group meet here, which is where we used to meet for many years. And we were moved out of there. And we're in the room across from the cafe. The lighting is not good. This is very good for handcrafts. It's noisy when the blower is on. I know the cafe is not an issue right now, but I'm sure you're working on something. It's quite a pass-through for the staff. And I know you people are not the ones who finally approve it, but every time we ask the staff, nobody seems to know anything, and it just keeps getting pushed along and pushed along. So I figured this would be a formal place, and the ladies asked that we make a formal request to have Tuesday group, it's from 10 to 11:30, be able to utilize this room. We do not bring any food. Every once in a while, somebody's got a water bottle. We don't need any of the resources here. Everybody brings their own bag. So we're not a problem to clean up after or to be quiet or anything. So we would very much like to. I can't, there's no questions, right? I mean, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for your input, yeah.
You're one of the pass-throughs, yeah.
Someone else wants to speak?
Yeah, so I'm here based on some discussion that I heard in last month's regular board meeting. Just wanted to make the board aware,
Ready for the.
it's on the list up down there.
Oh, okay.
Just want to make the board aware that the public is still very interested in finding out what happened with the cafe and moving forward with those investigations. I understand you're all volunteers and you're here on your own time, and it's not always easy to make every meeting. But I would hope that for special meetings of this kind of relevance, that board members, if they weren't able to make it, would have reviewed the minutes or maybe watched the YouTube live video for the public comment. It's kind of an expectation I would have personally. And a little put off by some of the discussion about, the reluctance to spend a couple $1,000s on an investigation, given the size of the library's budget, $4-point-something million. That's all.
Thank you for your.
Thank you so much.
Anyone else want to speak for public input?
We know if we've
We
gotten
may have.
any emails.
We may have two emails, I think, emailed with comments.
Okay.
And without Luann here. Amy, do you have those or should I read them?
I don't have them.
I think that I do. Locate those, they are in your packets. So you're aware. These are my meeting minutes.
Begin it, Joe.
No, they didn't know.
Oh, sorry.
I'm very close to finding them. So, get past the minutes from previous meetings. Okay, so we have a letter dated March 6th. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, I have been following with great interest the issues relating to the procurement and operations of the former Cafe Cornell within the property of the Guilderland Public Library. As one who visits and uses the library at least 4 or 5 times per week, I was excited to have a convenient food and beverage option within the library. Needless to say, I and others were frequently disappointed that the cafe was so often closed during the day. On those days when it was open, I enjoyed the food and appreciated the opportunity to buy my coffee from a local small business rather than national chains. The charges of racism on the part of the library staff as the basis for the cafe closing are jarring and serious. As much time as I spend there, I cannot say that I have any knowledge or
I'm sorry,
experience.
can I interrupt you? Is this from?
I think this might have been from
Yeah, I
last
think
time.
it's the only one.
This may have that.
These are part of the previous
To be
minutes.
approved for the minutes, yeah, we don't have anything new.
Okay, then we don't have anything new.
Because if you look at your packet on the meeting for March 21st, this very letter is attached to the end of it.
Oh, you are correct.
He's a legislator. right?
Yes.
Correct. Apologies, guys.
We just want them to make sure we don't skip something.
Yeah,
We skipped the
exactly.
public input.
Yeah,
and go
public-
before it's-
Public comments.
So none, no
None.
extras. Okay.
No.
Okay, are we seeing public input? We will go to the next item on the agenda, which is personnel actions. And personnel actions this evening are to accept the resignation of Abby Messick, library page on 3/22/24. To accept the resignation of Natalie Desmo, library page on 4/11/24. To accept the resignation of Luann Nicholson, public information officer, effective 4/16/24. And to accept the resignation of Carsley Ibanez, part-time custodian, effective 4/16/2024. Is there a motion to approve the personnel items stated? Marcia,
I'll second.
seconded by Mike.
Do we know why this part-time custodian, aren't we gonna be able to work on the
PhD.
maintenance?
We'll be a little short, but we're working on filling the position.
Yeah.
It's been posted and we've gotten lots of applicants, so we're in good shape.
He went back to school. I think we knew about that a little bit ago, but we weren't sure when. I guess, I would like to mention for Louie Nicholson, I know she was here for quite some time and she did quite extensive work in promoting our programs and making sure the public was informed of anything going on. So I just want to thank her for her hard work and dedication to the library during her time here, as well as everybody else that, walked it through the doors, Abby, Natalie, and Carlsy, because I know they all worked really hard and it's just worth noting. Thank them for their time.
Would second
I
comment
agree.
about Luann. I was very sad to see her resignation. I think it's a great loss to the library. She was one of the longest term employees here. And I think we all wish her well, but I think it's a big loss.
I was hoping this was her last meeting. I was gonna go get some really crazy snacks, but it was 2 days ago. I missed it.
We have plans on hiring another public information officer?
So when the new director gets here, we'll discuss how we want to fill the position because we have more options than we used to. There's the public information specialist title that we could just fill. Or we could go in a different direction. We could fill it with an administrative assistant, which has now marketing is built into that position. And that would give us a person with many more capabilities also within their titles. So they're roughly paid the same, so there's good options. So the new director will just need to decide how they want to proceed with that.
Who is handling that function in the meantime? Because
It has been,
she was the public face, you see it on
Yes.
the paper and then the monthly, so the email that comes out.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
My guess is Amy.
it is. So we have distributed all of her functions to many staff because of course she did a lot. So to try to load that onto one person would be impossible. So our folks in PPS, our public services folks are gonna take back up promoting their own programs, which they've done for a long time anyway, so that's not a huge ask. Creating graphics and things like that. IT is working on the website. We have a couple of people in PPS who are gonna do some basic social media, at least for us in the meantime. Amy's gonna be working with me on the newsletter. We'll be doing some InDesign training and getting her up to speed on how to do that. Because I have extensive experience working in InDesign on a newsletter in my own history. So we're gonna get that done. What else is there? I don't know that we're gonna get out press releases as often as we were, but we will get out any press releases that we need to. That'll be written by me or Natalie. So yeah, we've kind of distributed things around to, just for the time being. Obviously, this position will need to be filled.
Although we're reluctant to accept resignation of Luann, is there, all in favor of, the personnel action so stated? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Okay, passes at 6:15. Great. Next on the agenda is the treasurer's report.
Am I presenting that in George's absence?
I believe so.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't know George was gonna be here. Wasn't going to be here. In my estimation, we have not had an opportunity to go through this as the finance committee, but taking a look at this, there's nothing outstanding that looks unusual and would require a lot of clarification in the statement of net position. Does anybody have particular questions about it?
No, I mean, if there's nothing.
Okay, Jackie, do you have anything to add? No, okay. And then the statement of revenue, expenses, and changes in net position is actually pretty on target too. There have been some questions about some of the variances that are on here. And I know that George is working on getting some specifics on that, but he will be able to present that to us in May on why there might be some variances in here. And those lines that you see variances, please note that we are also taking that into account when we put together the budget for next year, that some of these lines are running under or over. And so we try to rectify that with the upcoming budget on some of these that we can expect different expenses on. Any question about the second page, the statement of revenue expenses? We also included, just for your information in this packet, is all of our accounts that we have, the operating accounts plus our investment accounts. So there was a record of that was also included with the board information. It's in your mailbox. And then I guess the check register is included in here. I'm not sure that I will have any insight into this, but I'm certain that Nate, Natalie, or Jackie will have some insight if there are questions on the check register itself.
I just had a couple of questions for whoever knows. The Yale Manufacturing check, I think that's the one for 17,318, and the Flex Electric for 7,340. I just didn't know what those were. Does anyone know?
That's the new information desk in the wiring of it, and so all the electronics had to be adjusted because that new area needed to be rewired.
Yeah.
So it's the rest of the furniture that was in there. Those were the larger expenditures this month.
Okay, thanks.
So are there any further questions on the check register? Is there a motion to approve the check register for March 19th to April 16th, 2024?
So moved, Corey.
And is there a second? All right, any further discussion? All in favor of approving the check register, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Passes.
May I make a comment?
Sure.
It might be helpful for the board if a lot of these are recurring monthly amounts, and nothing unusual, they're just recurring bills. Is there anything extraordinary that we should know about? If you put an asterisk next to it, it might be helpful so we understand that it stands up and it's not, business as usual. It's something that's maybe once, one happening out of the ordinary, but it might be helpful to pinpoint it. Because, what sticks out is the amount, of course. And so that's a reasonable question, but if we know what might be non-recurring or usual, an asterisk with some legend, provided might be helpful. Thanks.
I could pass that information along to George as well. Thank you.
All right, directors and department head reports.
My turn. All right, so as we just discussed, we have a new desk. That is one of the bigger pieces of news. We have a new adult services reference desk. It was remodeled to provide more welcoming and accessible space for providing service. The height of the desk was very high before, kind of created an imperious kind of feel. And we wanted to make it much more open and welcoming. We also needed a little bit of more space at this desk because we get questions about digital books and e-readers and devices and things at this desk. So a space was carved out that makes it easy to actually help folks do that kind of stuff. We did reuse some of their more expensive pieces of the original desk for these adjustable height desks that we have. So those were reused as part of this design to help minimize the cost and keep that functionality in place. So staff can either stand or sit. And just kudos to the IT and PPS departments because they had to deal with temporarily relocating our entire service point to in front of the fish tank and deal with all of that, get our phones over there, get our computers over there and provide service in a weird spot. Everybody was very effective in doing that. It seemed to go pretty smoothly, so kudos to them for making that happen. In other building news, we've been having reports of fluctuating temperatures in different parts of our building. Some rooms are too hot, some are too cold. And this is pretty noticeable, especially in the youth services area. So the programs room is really markedly different when you walk into it than the main reading room space. And it's happening in some other places as well. So our control system vendor, Stark Tech, came out free of cost. They were working on building a relationship with us. And they met with Sean from IT and they looked over the system and tried to make adjustments to it to improve the situation. I think we've seen some modest improvements, but there's still some complaints about this. So this will be something we have to continue to work on.
Did they say what was causing the issue?
That is unclear. I will say that we had some work done on our boilers and on our HVAC system recently, and the guy who came in, who was doing the maintenance, came into my office and showed me parts that were broken and things like that. So some stuff was not great with our HVAC system. So that may be part of it, but I think there's going to need to be more work done to investigate why the system's not working the way it should be. And we are talking about trying to get some grant funds to replace that system, if at all possible, in the coming years. In terms of usage, you'll see from my statistics at the end that usage was very solid throughout the month with a door count similar to last year's in March. No big news there. Physical book checkouts were down from this time last year, and that was most noticeable in our youth materials, so that's kind of interesting. At the same time, though, physical collection was down, digital collection was up, and that makes up for some of the difference at least. So we'll keep an eye on that. It was pointed out to me, and this is very true, that adult program attendance this past month was extremely high. We had only a handful more programs in March than we did in January, but we had double the attendance. So everybody's coming out of the woodworks to come do fun stuff at the library, apparently. And something that our teams in multiple departments were dealing with was the eclipse coming. It was coming, the end of days was arriving, and everyone wanted eclipse glasses. And there was also planning for an event that we held in our upper parking lot. So there was just a lot of work and excitement building around that in the library. And we had some cool stuff going on in the youth services department about that. Looking at operations, we have a new IT department worker who started in March, and he's been rolling right along, getting up to speed on everything. We have changes to our printing system for remote printing, so you can print from home, and it's just shifting gears. So IT has been working on that, and PPS is getting trained on that. Some work was done on our Wi-Fi system to remove a firewall that we no longer need in our system. And we've added 10 additional Wi-Fi hotspots. So that's a very popular item to check out from the Library of Things. And we now have 65 of those available for checkout. In public services, we have some collections work being done by our youth services librarians. They're working on nonfiction, just weeding out old titles that are no longer relevant or up to date and recategorizing Dewey numbers with the help of Carly in our collections department to just keep similar topics together, make the collection easier to use, basically. And adult services staff, I checked in with them as they were working in their new space, and all of them were very happy and loving how that is working. So that's been received very well by the staff and patrons alike. Just some program highlights. In March, we continued to offer yoga and mindful movement for beginners. That was a very popular program, and it's great that it's actually bringing in more men to attend programs. Often we get kind of a skew towards women in our programs, and that's across the board at many libraries, actually. But apparently we're getting some guys coming out to this one, which is great. We also had a creative journaling program that drew a lot of interest. One of our newer librarians here held that program, Sam. That was held in January, February, and March, and 35 patrons were able to make their own journals. And for Women's History Month, patrons made their own felt brooches honoring themselves or famous women in history. So my picture got a little wonky in my report here, but I thought it was cute. It was really great. Youth and family, they had this Imagination Space Invasion program that launched mid-month, and that was part of the eclipse preparation. So that included displays, programs, decorations, and a Count the Stars raffle to win a free book. So that was super popular and fun. In terms of admin work here, Natalie submitted the annual report and it was accepted and transmitted to the state. So that appears to be done. We'll see. It was kicked back to us a few times, so we'll see how it goes. Budget work, as you all know, was underway all month. Lots of spreadsheets and reports being generated. Another thing that happened this month was that I rolled a new feedback process out for the staff, allowing them to submit admin comment cards. So this is a way for folks to give us any kind of feedback that they want to share in a potentially anonymous format. They can share their name if they wish. And that's been really helpful. I've gotten a lot of great feedback from the staff, both, difficult things and positive things. And it's just allowing us to communicate more effectively with the staff, which is great. Civil service personnel and onboarding and offboarding procedures are rolling along very smoothly under Natalie's direction. I think she's doing a great job picking up where we left off with our personnel administrator. So she's doing a great job, and I know that will continue. We posted for a new facilities manager, and we received a very large volume of applications, many of which were very qualified. So we're very excited to be interviewing those candidates to get that position filled. It's very critical that we fill it. And we have some really great folks that we've been interviewing. And preparations for multiple retirements and one resignation. As we all know, Luann, you approved her leaving, very unfortunately, because she did a lot of work here. So we've been prepping for her departure. And we also have been prepping for the departure of several other folks who are retiring with a lot of knowledge. So gathering information from them. And we continue to work on farmers market plans, making sure we have the staffing in place for that. And we had a good survey with the staff. I got a lot of feedback from the staff about the farmers market. So I put out a survey, got some more data from folks, and got some interesting ideas out of that. So that'll help guide our efforts in the future with that service. And then you can go through and see all the data if you so wish at the end of my report. And that's it for me, unless anyone has questions.
Thank you. For the report. No question. What's there? Great report. All right, well, then we'll move on to committee reports. Alicia, is there anything with buildings and grounds?
Not at the moment. I know there is something brewing and we have to figure out the roof situation. So we'll probably be having a meeting shortly. So I guess for the admin side, if there's anything we need to have in advance of that meeting, we're going to try to get that set up. With there only being 3 members, is a quorum considered 2 out of the 3? Okay. That was my only question for that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else for building and grounds. No, because I'll be talking about the farmers market and old business. So Just been doing a lot of back and forth, getting that squared away and getting the new contracts updated. That is pretty much it. Because I was focused on director stuff for a little bit there. So now we should be getting back to more building and grounds meetings. But so if there's anything that needs to be proposed to building and grounds, let me know. I know there was a couple things that were kind of put on hold as other things were going on. So just let me know. And I can get that on our agenda.
Okay. All right, so Corey,
Sure.
long-range planning.
I'll
and
start with
finance.
with my roll through. Long-range planning has not met. We've yet to regroup since we put it on pause, but we will also be seeking one additional member of the ad hoc long-range planning committee from the staff. So if there's a staff member that is also interested in participating, please have them reach out to me or multiple staff members to replace the vacancy that was filled by Luann at the time. I really hope now that we've moved past some of the other things that were more pressing on the board at the moment, that I'll be able to regroup and get us a meeting scheduled for this month. I've asked that the budget be voted on during the finance committee report. So really the report of the finance committee is that we worked on the budget and we have this draft that is in front of you and that Nate so kindly went through. We had a special meeting and we walked through some of the steps in that. So now I'm offering up the budget as presented to you and included in your board packet and asking for you to consider approving.
I'm just double checking, nothing changed since the last meeting, since our discussion.
So we made two changes that were discussed in that, which was allocating $25,000 to the retirement, the New York State retirement line, because we had received an estimate that indicated that we needed to increase that. And we also added $5,000 to the unemployment insurance. Unemployment insurance, I'm not exactly sure how it's calculated, but we added 5,000 to that. And that reduced what our reserve funding was.
Okay, those were the only two changes though, right?
Mhm.
Were they in the packets?
It came separate. Do you have one more copy of that budget?
I haven't read it until it's.
I have a copy of
They have multiples
Oh,
of some
okay.
things.
So,
Is it what I did?
It's this one, right?
I have a copy from this one.
oh, well, this is here you go.
Okay.
You just got your brain.
Thanks a lot.
Barbara, you need one?
Do you need one too? I've got one. There you are.
So if there are lingering questions, comments about the budget, obviously there were a number of people that put in a lot of work to it, so I will just shout out Nate. I'm confident that Natalie was on the back end handling some of that. Of course, Jackie and David pulled together a lot of numbers, and Mike and Tony are also on the finance committee. And George participated and helped us intensely participated and helped us get this new format, so it's a little more clear to read than it has been in years past.
Is there a motion to approve the budget? Bill? Is there a second? Marcia? Thank you. Okay, is there further discussion or questions about the budget?
Just very briefly, I support this budget. I just want to, just mention again, and, what we've discussed, that I want to make sure that we do move forward after this on the issue about the dedicated reserve funds and kind of changing our long-term planning and budgeting process going forward. I know that's something that's still in the works, but I just want to keep that in the forefront of everyone's mind, because I think it is important that we're pushing that forward. That's all.
Thanks, Mike. And so we had shared at the special meeting that copy of the reserve funding. So the finance committee will be meeting again to work through some of those steps in the process and bringing forth a recommendation to the board in the future. So we may be asking to reallocate the reserve funding based on the board designated funds.
I only have one thing, and it was only just tied into the director thing, that is having that line pulled back out, or did we decide that it was just easier to all be in one line item for the staff and development?
It is all in one line item.
Is there any benefit to pulling that out or no? 'Cause
There
that was what
is
used to be there.
future years, but I think we can include something about a director's professional development in the contract with the understanding that some of that funding comes out. And then as we go to look at I would recommend as we go to look at the 2026 budget,
That's fine.
if the new director wants that in an additional line that we recreate it, because we've had it before.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
talked about this last time.
right, yeah, I just wanted to. see
So
if there was
no,
any-
it wasn't pulled back.
Now that I
There
have
was
a
no,
number.
the contract's not, not quite.
No worries, yeah. It was not a hard question, I just didn't know if it made more sense before we approved the budget or not, but
Yeah.
okay.
Good question.
Is there any further discussions? Everyone's good? Okay, well, all in favor of approving the budget, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed?
I would add party thanks from the rest of the boards. The amount of work that was put in by staff and folks on the finance committee.
Yeah, thanks for all the hard work.
Likes to be a thankless job.
All right, the budget is approved at 6:35. Thank you all.
Get it off.
Oh, now I'm sorry, I'm still rolling, aren't I?
On, and you are to left. Committees.
The audit committee has not met. Again, we are still seeking an additional member. So if a member of the public has experience, is a CPA, wants to participate, please reach out. We are wrapping up we should have a conclusion. We were hoping to have it by this meeting, but it is not in for sure yet. A recommendation from the outside attorney that is advising us on the capital funds. But that should be available for next meeting so that the audit can get completed and we can close out 22. So fingers crossed. As far as Upper Hudson goes, I apologize. I have been under the weather this week, and so I have not been able to push forward the request, but I'll be coming back to you and circling back in and see if we can get in next month on the equity challenge, which I believe I mentioned a month or two ago. That's something that Upper Hudson is a lot of the libraries, more than half of the libraries are participating in. I would love for the board to get involved. There is a board component to us, and so I'll be bringing more information about that in April. And secondly, just to share some exciting news from Upper Hudson, there was some additional funding that was allocated to offer up some of the library's grants and stuff from last year. So that's exciting. Some of the member libraries that are doing construction projects are able to receive a little more funding. So that was a really big coup for the system. So, and that is really all I have to report.
The committee policies have been trying to get some information on what policies need to be worked on next. So I've been emailing Nate and Natalie. I think the local history policy is in draft. So I've asked to receive one because I think we can approve it as long as I see the draft. And I asked for the social media policy and the study room policies, which I think need updates. So if no other pressing policies are suggested, those are the ones that we're going to be working on this month. But if there's something more pressing, please let me know. Yeah, that's it for me, I guess, for now. I think the foundation's been taken out of here. But I don't have anything to report because I'm not sure if a meeting was held last month. Either way, I was not able to attend. I did reach out to the new president to see if I could get minutes, and I have not heard back. Do you know if they met last month?
Sorry, I'm trying to mute.
It should be in the top right corner, the three dots.
Did hit,
Oh,
Oh,
the
it's just
microphone
right next to it.
Yeah.
oh, this one. There we go. There we go. I'm sorry. What were you asking me about?
Foundation meet last month?
Foundation did meet. I was only able to be there for a short portion because they met at the same time as the budget, one of our budget meetings. So they're continuing on with their refocus on their new mission, basically. Well, it's their old mission, but they're refocusing on it. It seems like they're moving ahead with some fundraising.
With the golf tournament, right?
Yeah.
Okay, anything
Not for me.
Mike, anything from personnel?
Personnel has not met. We do have outstanding issue of the management confidential contracts, so I need to circle back with Nate and figure out when we'll be ready to meet on that. So I guess I'll touch base with you offline, but we
Please
should,
do.
yeah, get that moving. So that's it for personnel. Labor management has not met. Also, just very briefly, the ad hoc committee looking into the cafe procurement process has not met, but we've kind of informally been communicating and have been reviewing documents from the FOIL requests, from, the various committee and board meetings during the process, and videos of some videos and board packets and minutes and all those things. And we will be trying to move forward with figuring out how to complete the investigation and put together some sort of report or work product that we can present, but that's a work in progress.
So,
You say labor management is not.
Yeah, labor management is not.
so we're on to old business.
I think we have board development.
Board development. Oh, I'm sorry. I completely looked that out. Sorry.
Natalie and they brought to our attention that 2023 year has expired. But we are working now on our 2024 education requirements. And what I have here, and I hope you put your name on it and fill it out. We met and basically pulled out some workshops that are available through Upper Hudson and also through library development. And I'm asking to put down 3 of them, basically. Which one's your first choice, second choice, third choice, and we'll sort of gauge it by that. And if the only thing that they ask is that it can be virtual or it can be in person. But to do it, they would like 3 to 5 people at least to be present. Okay. If my past experience follows through, if you register for a seminar and you can't actually be physically there, while it's going on, you can still link into the tape like at a later time. Now, that used to be the procedure. I can't guarantee that that's the case, for 2024. But at least this will get us started. Okay, so I'll pass this around, and as I said, if you would,
And then
Put
give it
your
back
name.
to you.
yeah, by the end of this meeting.
Okay.
Okay, the 4 things that we pulled out was legal basis for library trustees, open meetings law, show me the money, basically, what our responsibilities are for fiduciary responsibilities, policy development and maintenance, which is something that we're sort of behind on a little bit, and then the FOIA law, Freedom of Information Law. So I'll pass this around. And then if I could get them by the end of the meeting so that we can talk with Tim and the other people. Once we find out which workshops we want to start with, then, we'll set up a dual form as to the dates and things such as that. Okay?
Search committee update?
So quick update. I know we have an executive session to discuss the contract, so it's no surprise we do have a offer out to our next director, and it was signed, so things are looking good there. The start date, unless something happens in between, is May 22nd, so it's coming up pretty quickly, which is great. It's, more hands make light work. I don't know if that's the right saying, but so that's pretty much the update there. We have did you want to go over the statement that you drafted?
I think that's probably for
For
executive session.
executive, fair. So we do have a write-up that Corey put together that would function basically as our press release for the announcement as well. So we'll go over that in executive session, and all my calls out to folks are done. So everyone who needs to know knows, and everyone we're all caught up there. So, nothing much else about that. I don't know when we would disband. Would that be next meeting? Since it's an ad hoc meeting, I think we have to formally.
We have completed our goal.
We have completed our goal. Do we want to disband officially the search committee, the directors?
I think we should get the contract signed.
You think?
Oh,
so?
yeah.
I mean, I'm not pessimistic. but-
No, I know. Fair enough. I am still doing stuff back and forth on that. I guess that's my other update. I've been working with the lawyers to go back and forth on the wording.
And we'll never get.
Never get done. Oh, please don't tell me that. So there is a copy of the tentative contract with everything highlighted in yellow that differs from Tim's contract. We used a lot of the same wording. It just customized it to folk. That's it. I guess, before we wrap the committee reports, is there just an update on the guidepost stuff that is for public information? I did
So
talk to you a little bit.
I think I mentioned at this special meeting we had at the budget meeting, but it wasn't public, so I should mention it now that Kathy and I, the attorney and Guidepost did meet, I believe it was March. I'll have to find the date. And they are starting the investigation. I believe they're in the process right now. They said that they're hoping to do all the interviews in one day because all the back work is being done first, all the documents, all the information that they can get from Nate and other people before they get here, and then hopefully do the interviews in one day. And then they said they hope to have something to us by, I don't want to say the wrong thing.
I think that's, 4 to 6 weeks, right?
Or just
Yeah, from
6
start.
weeks, but I.
Like the 6 weeks.
I'm just trying to find it. Oh, here it is. May or June, board meeting in May or June at the latest. They should have something.
Is the intention for the board to review it and then make the report public? Do we know?
Yeah, so we are going to see it and then discuss it and then decide if we're putting it all out there or just the findings or redacting things. So right now, we just want the report. We'll have to vote on what to do with it.
So they'll give us the report in May or June in draft.
Well, it'll be the report. It'll be the final report, but it's a attorney or product because it's through the attorney. So at that point, we can decide what to make public.
I
In
think
case any names or anything would have to be redacted, maybe.
we know how many people are on the interview list.
Don't know that. So when we had the call, they said, do you want updates? Do you want us to keep you posted? And they said, actually, it's beneficial if we stay out of it as much as possible. So unless you have pressing questions, they're not going to speak to us until the end.
Well, are
And I
they gonna
think-
speak to us at the end? In other words, they're gonna hand us a piece of paper?
Yeah.
Are they coming up to have a
Well, I
discussion
think
with
if
the
we
board?
want them to,
I would like that.
yeah.
I think we owe it to the public and to the board to understand their process, what they did,
Yeah,
and the input in the report. I would like that.
okay. If we have another call, I'm sure we will, once they're like more in depth into the investigation, then I'll make sure to mention that. Kathy, do you
Sorry to
have
put you
anything
on the
else that you
spot.
wanted to add?
No, I missed a little bit of the call because I had trouble logging into the platform, but I was able to be there for most of it. I think that you've been in a very good summary.
Okay.
So thank you.
I know, it's okay.
All right. We have anything else before we go on to old business? So, item under old business is the farmer's market contract approval.
Yep, so all changes were made. The only thing that didn't get updated after discussion with a lawyer, and it makes sense to just keep it in there, is I know there was a concern under the indemnification hold harmless agreement that it mentions vendors. And I think it's just a call out. I know basically my understanding is that,
Can you point out the section, Louise?
sorry, section 4, and this is just like a legal preference of theirs to keep it in, basically just signaling like really any issues that come up with the vendors, it should be with the farmer's market and it's not us that would be liable. And my understanding was it doesn't really hurt to keep it in there.
Meaningless.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
Right, but
that was the
We
lawyer's
all said
recommendation.
that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's gonna hurt anything, but it is completely,
right,
it's not enforceable in any way at all.
Yeah,
They're
that's-
not parties to the contract.
that's what the lawyer said, that this is more just a signal and less a legal holding. And that's only because the ask for, I guess, the suggestion was maybe the farmer's market should have a hold harmless agreement with their vendors, but we can't dictate their contracts with their vendors. So this is just, I don't know, a call out, but all the rest of the updates were made. There was in section 9, it didn't have a payment for June, which they're not opening until July, so I took that one out. The language for making sure payments were made in full by the first of the month was added in. And the language there says that if the rent is not paid by the first of the month, they forfeit the use of the space for the month. So that language is in there. And then I removed the language in 10 where it said community groups would have access to that free table, since we don't really have any way to regulate or monitor that if there's not a library or board member present here. But so that table is reserved for the library or the board, which if there are community groups that would like information put on the table, I don't see why they couldn't provide that to us and we put it out. But having them at the table representing the library or board might be a little fuzzy. So those were the changes that were asked for. They are made. And that's it.
Did you indicate that Scott said he would pay all of the months up front? Is that still viable?
He said that that's what he's going to do, but we wanted to make sure we
I
had.
have
the
no
proper-
problem with this.
Oh, right.
I'm just.
Yeah, the last time I spoke to him, he said that was the intention. So hopefully none of this monthly stuff even becomes an issue, but that's what he said. So the full amount would be $650 up front.
So what is the next step? Do we sign it? Or are we waiting on something from the attorney?
No, we did, this is it. So it'd just be an approval of this contract and then it would be signed by the board president, Scott.
So we can make a motion today?
Yep, yeah. I just want to be able to give him a few months to prepare for July, so once this is solidified.
He has seen this, he's in agreement with it.
Yeah, we discussed this multiple times, so this has everything in there that we agreed to, and it seems like we have the bathroom coverage more or less in place. I guess it's worth mentioning that Nate did put out a survey. This is for future consideration and not for this particular contract, but there was pretty much 50-50 interest across the staff for even considering Saturdays in the future, which would resolve the bathroom issue, might cause a parking issue, but we have a good relationship with our neighbor who has already before given us permission to use their lot. So we're trying to navigate what the logistics of that might be. Scott's not ready for that this year because he still has the Washington Park farmers market, but due to some safety concerns at the park, he's thinking he might dissolve the Washington Park one in favor of doing Saturdays here. So that's for next year potentially, so putting that out there. And that was my only update. So thanks for that feedback. We actually got a really positive feedback from the staff on the farmers market. So that was nice, just to see kind of where staff was at with sentiments towards the farmers market. There was a couple of concerns, but I think those got addressed between their committee discussion and the wording of the contract. So.
So it is Sundays and the.
It is Sundays this year, and then next year we're in discussions for potentially moving it to Saturdays, because ultimately we do want to drive, an increase in card signups and things like that. Nate and I did discuss potentially having things set up at our table to help people sign up for library cards or at least get the ball rolling. So while we couldn't finish it because there's, privacy and personal information concerns, we also don't have access to the computers and stuff out there. We can at least get the ball rolling or help people doing it online as part of our table to help kind of hit that goal. So I don't know.
And you said the public will have access to the bathroom. Right?
Yeah.
And we'll have like.
So we'll have this door, we'll have this space locked off, but you can get to the bathroom.
So we'll have one staff member
Yep.
here for me.
Yeah.
And I think you talked about it before, but how do we come up with the 650 again? And that covers
That's
our
the-
costs, right?
That's the 3 full months and then the 1 October date. Because there's one random weekend in October. He's not doing the full month of October. Does anybody have any other questions? Or we good to vote on the contract?
But we need a motion.
Motion.
Motion to approve the farmer's market contract.
I'll make the motion.
Mike? Second? Okay, is there any further discussion about this contract?
Thanks for working with them.
Yeah. Yeah, no worries.
All right, hearing none, all in favor of approving the farmer's market contract, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, approved at 6:56. All right, and we have some, well, I guess our new business, we already approved the budget. So resignation of trustee Vanessa Brett. Always disappointing when someone feels they need to resign. So I'm sure, I think everybody got her letter today.
Sorry, I didn't hear it, but I'll check now. I've been checking all day. Thank you. Now I say that.
It came in late this afternoon.
Yeah, thanks.
Around 2:30.
2:32.
It's a loss to the board, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I've worked with Vanessa on a number of committees, and she's always had great contributions. So, and great contributions on the board too, so, yeah, she'll be missed for sure.
Well, I just want to say I've always appreciated her input on things. I think she was very well spoken and very thoughtful. And I'm really upset that she won't be with us meetings anymore, but I understand her decision.
For that, I think, we're losing somebody that's been really great for the board, but also understand her decision and respect it. So I feel like will reluctantly vote to accept her resignation.
Is there a motion to accept the resignation?
I will reluctantly vote.
Like nobody wants to be that.
Everyone is reluctant.
I will reluctantly second it.
I'll just, echo the sentiments the other people have expressed and thank Vanessa for her service on the library.
Maybe she'll come back if we have a vacancy in the future. Keep that in mind, Vanessa, if you're watching.
People can always volunteer for committees, just saying.
So shall we reluctantly vote?
We can reluctant vote.
All in favor of reluctantly voting for her resignation?
Everybody crowned.
Anyone opposed?
Everybody grown.
All right, we reluctantly approved her resignation for voted on it at 6:58 p.m. Now we have public input session.
Well, I'm sorry, can I just ask a question?
Oh,
And
sure.
is her position now available for this meeting's vote or no? Or how does that work?
So.
Do we have to fill it?
No, I think I think her resignation according to her.
It's the
note-
17th, so
Was it-
it's 4 days before the vote.
And it would be past time for someone to, I believe that the petitions would be due on this coming Monday.
So it won't be an official position on the ballot.
I think she purposely did it that way so that we don't have to try to fill that, you know, in half. But, so I thought it was a thoughtful date on her part.
Kathy, just a question. They say that there are 3 seats available. If she's
No,
resigning
because-
before the election.
No, well,
and
but
before-
the petitions are due on Monday.
Not until Monday, right? So she resigned. Oh,
Well,
I
she's
see what you're
resigning
saying.
as of May 17th, I believe, so would be well after the date for petitions. I mean, the board after the election, I think, you know, and if you're down a member, the board could consider appointing someone to the seat. I mean, if the board feels that 8 members is not good and
It has to be an odd number.
I think that date and timing gives I believe it's the nominations committee who selects the next one, but it gives some leeway to choose between who got the most votes in the previous year or in the current election. So like, you would be able to consider both elections at that point.
There were 2 seats, so there are 2
Well,
seats.
Because
bylaws
it is
say that.
happening during this year. So if you want to appoint someone to
Yeah.
fill it, you would consider last year's
Good.
next highest write-in candidate. And if you want to wait until July 1st to fill the position, you would consider this.
We would, if we filled the position now, it would only be valid until
Right.
the end of June. And, you know,
We
it's
can't
only
fill
for
it
the
now
remainder of
because
this year.
her.
But we're saying, no, maybe for the remainder of Vanessa's term.
Yeah, but.
No,
No, she's
No,
resigning
if,
as
if,
of May.
if it's,
so
if
position to
the
fill.
board fills it, if we fill a vacancy, it's only good for a year until the next election comes up. If it's filled in the election, then it can fill the remainder of whatever was outstanding of left over of her term. But when the board fills a vacancy, when we just select and approve somebody to fill a vacancy, that doesn't go for the remainder of that person's term. It only goes till the next election comes up. It's like a 1 year or less, like temporary appointment.
First of all, we have nothing to fill because her
Right.
resignation is a,
I mean,
May
we
Day.
do still have 1 seat, the 10 seat that we could have filled,
Yeah,
you know,
but we
for the
didn't.
2 months or whatever until the election comes
we're
around.
going to 9 members, right?
But we're gonna
Yeah.
be going down to 9 members soon anyway, and
And how many people are running?
We don't know. The applications are not
Yeah,
due until the
Monday.
22nd.
So
I have gotten news from the school that we've had 1 application submitted so far.
when did you hear
That
that?
was just a couple days ago.
Might have been mine.
It was yours.
Okay.
I was like, yes, Mike's coming back.
the bylaws, but the nomination committee can go down to the person who got the next hire, so.
Right,
If
we'll
they're-
look at it. I think,
yeah.
it seems to me that what we might end up having is we'll have 2 seats that get filled in the election, and then we'll have the 1 vacancy from Vanessa's that won't have been filled in the election. And if there are additional candidates, then we might have someone that we could do that way. Otherwise, the nomination committee will have to, or
We'll have to figure it out.
You know.
Am I still on that?
I don't remember.
Yeah, we're still the same committee.
A lot has happened.
I'm on it, you're on it. Another person.
So we'll have to meet up after the election.
Yeah. We'll figure it out.
Okay. Is there any more public input?
Nope, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Anything in email or? Watchable?
Great. Hearing no public input, we have need of an executive session. For the,
To go into.
for the purpose of discussing potential contract with the incoming director, and also to discuss a specific personnel issue. Do I have a, motion to enter executive session for these purposes?
Motion.
Norina? Is there a second?
Bill?
Bill, okay. All in favor of entering into executive session? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we enter into executive session.
We gotta kill it pretty real fast though.
Oh, yeah.
For.
Yeah, you'll